to sell them a little bit more and the average goes up. I always say if you want to sell John Jones or Mary Jones, what Mary Jones or John Jones buys, then sell John Jones through John Jones' eyes. Look at your store as if you're the customer. Now, I mentioned to you earlier about private labeling or private branding merchandise. Major retailers are moving toward that own brand of merchandise. And I wrote this 3 months ago, and it'd be darned if I didn't hear this real strong in New York this week. A lot of our customers are not happy about this change. I mean, again, coming up on last night, I did buy a jar of pickles, and I really made a mistake because I looked at the pickle, I wanted some sweet pickles. And I should have bought the famous, Clausen or whatever that name is. Well, it was at Kroger, and Kroger had a thing, well, here's their own private brand for $1.88. I said, what the hell, let's try it. So I brought it, and it didn't look good at all. It's horrible. But private brand. And a lot of customers don't want private brand. But a lot of the retailers are doing private brand because they know they can make. When I was at Rich's, we used to fight all the time about trying to have our own private label. Costco's private label is called Kirkland. Now, what's Kirkland? Kirkland is just the name of a city in Washington where their headquarters is. But they've taken the Hebrew national hot dog and stamped it as Kirkland's now. And they sell thousands of those hot dogs, as you well know. All through that store, everything is Kirkland. So what we can do as small retailers is capitalize on this trend by making your store a destination of private label, of public, not private label, but of the national brands, because people still want the national brand. A lot of the ready-to-wear people, they'll make a tie, maybe it's a Tommy Hilfiger tie, and it'll be just a little longer and a little wider. And then the private brand, they'll start shrinking certain things on it. But that's the direction they're doing. So have the national brands, which are of the quality your customer deserves, and they know they can get it there. You take Tommy Bahamas in apparel, a lot of department stores are still carrying that. But if you look, what they're doing is they have knockoffs of it, which is under their private label. And all they're doing is undermining the national brand. But we know it's become very competitive. It's fierce competition. We know we over-retail, and we know they're price cutting. But in the gift and home business, fortunately, in our case, most customers look at our stores to be sure that what they're buying is priced right. They're not really, you don't really need to say it's 20% off or 30% off, because the department stores have ruined that. You know, the one-day sales, which is a bunch of nothing. I was in that business early on before they really got real bad. But we had a policy at Rich's that we could never advertise or sell anything and say it's 50% off, more than 50% off. But today you go into a department store and it's 50% off, one-day sale, an additional 15%, and then if you use the credit card, an additional 15%. Before you know it, if it's a sale item, they may owe you money to buy it. And that's happened before. But most of the time, it's a gimmick, because there's no way they can continue to sell merchandise at 50 off and make any kind of profit. Well, in the home furnishings business, most of our home furnishing stores do run sales occasionally, but it's not on every product or 20 off or 30 off, because the product we buy and we sell here is based on a real cost factor and a retail factor. There is a change in consumer attitude and a change in consumer buying. So you need to be prepared, become aggressive with promoting and marketing, be ahead of the curve, and learn what your customer expects. Now, real quickly, let me just hit on a little bit about the internet age. Again, I didn't realize how much I heard about this in New York. But you need to get into that internet business. I used to think, well, we could live without it. But we do know for a fact in New York, they confirmed it again, that we still need to have what we call stores for people to go see and look at that merchandise. That will be here forever. There are a few things you can buy through the internet without looking at. Obviously, you can buy books. and you can buy certain computers. But even a computer or some of the electronic stuff, you still want to see it. So what you need to do is find out how the internet will fit into your business. Have you explored all of the opportunities that are there waiting for you? The number one opportunity, obviously, is every time a customer comes in, the big stores have been doing it, get their email address and tell them you just want to keep them posted on how things are going. Don't say you're going to bombard them. But that's the number one thing. And it's the cheapest way to get to them. You don't have to write them a letter. And it's amazing at how important that would be to a customer that goes into your store on a regular basis. The restaurants are doing it tremendously, and they're doing a good job with it, because invariably you'll want to go to a restaurant and all of a sudden, yeah, I got the email this week of what they're offering. Without the consumer, as I always say, the retailer has nothing. Without us as retailers, the exhibitors have nothing. And I spoke to a bunch of exhibitors Thursday and gave them the same message. I said, you guys have to understand that without us, you guys are out of business. So you need to treat us the same way that we treat our customers in terms of knowing what we need, when we need it, and how we need it. Social networking, how can they best be used by your business? I'm not going to get into it. It's the Twitter and the Facebook and all that other stuff. You got to decide which is right for your kind of customer. If you have a business where your customers are, I hate to use the word old, but let's say they're mature. They may not be interested in this kind of stuff. That's fine. But that customer is not going to be with you forever, and you better start learning about trying to get the younger one in there. But they love, those young people, they love to deal with this stuff. They don't buy anything without. I got a son, he'll call me up and say, well, before you buy that, let me tell you what to do. And he tells me how to get into the computer and how to find it and all. I said, no, you do it for me, just tell me what to buy. But that's how they're doing it. They love it. Now, have an active website. It's important. I don't care how small your store is. Even our little, I could not believe my son worked for me for about 2 years before he went to Coke when we had our stores. And he said, we're going to have a website. I said, we are? I said, yeah. So sure enough, he put up Social Expressions, that was the name of our store, on the website. And I opened it up, and I said, my God, I can't believe all this is public knowledge. They had a picture of all of us, what we sold, and all that kind of stuff. People want to know, and when people move into your town, and they may be a good customer, but if you're not in the website, they may never find you. Again, stay current, and if you do it, when you do it, be current and be consistent. Continually change it. There's nothing worse than seeing a website that never changes. Then you obtain a greater share of your business at a low cost, adding to your bottom line. And retailers who understand the value of their website are obtaining a greater share of their business at a very low cost. Now, there's a hospital in Atlanta, Northside, that set up a website. And Northside Hospital, if you didn't know this, is the largest baby factory, I guess, in the country. They deliver more babies than any hospital in the country. They have a website. So if someone lives in Utah, Montana, and they have an aunt or uncle that lives here and the baby came to the niece, they'll email the hospital. The hospital will take a credit card and send up a $25 animal to the room. 1, 2, 3, they send it upstairs, the website, and they're doing a tremendous amount of business. That hospital's doing over $1 million a year. So you want to make your website a mirror of your store and your personality. Allow your website to be your assistant in maintaining the excellent customer service that's paramount to anybody's business. And I always throw in a story about hospital shops, because you heard me talking about it, because we've made a commitment here at the Mart to work with hospital gift shops all over the country for 2 reasons. One, it does bring business here, but secondly, it's a good thing to help that industry, which needs all the help it can get. And what we found is that encouraging not only patients and potential visitors, but hospital employees as well, who are becoming their customers. And as I mentioned to you before, some hospital gift shops have even arranged for their employees to have, you might say, credit accounts. And if an employee makes, let's say, $25,000 a year, they may be allowed to charge $200 a month at this shop. And then as soon as they pay that off, it goes back up to $200 again. And I would say that probably 75 to 80% of the hospitals are doing this now. Just again, and then they're going into the internet business and so on. So the internet and the retailer's website has become a real major contact between the retailer and the consumer. Forget between the retailer and the manufacturer. I'm talking about the retailer and the consumer. Now, we do know in many cases, as I said, the consumer will spend up to 10% more for the same product, knowing that they will receive better service. And all throughout this, I keep talking about service. But we also know that consumers who receive good service will tell 9 to 12 to 15 people. And if they don't get good service, they can hardly wait to tell anybody, as you well know. You know, they'll tell you the experience they had, even at the mart. I've had people say, you know what, so-and-so came to the mart and they told me they had the worst experience they ever had. And the first thing I do, I get on the phone. I call that person up. Because if you're in the service business, a complaint will help you do a better job. So then I close this out by saying in today's internet environment, it's very easy for the consumer to express their satisfaction or dissatisfaction, not only in person, but through the internet. And Delta Airlines, I can't believe that it's working, but it does work, has a little thing, what do you call them, a little, in the, on the internet, the box or whatever, where you click it, and it says something about you want to write something. And sure enough, you can sit there and write about an experience you had on the airline, and they do respond back. And I've written a couple of times about my good experience. I never write about a bad one. But I wrote about a good one, and sure enough, about a week later, they thanked me for it and said the lady was being called in and all that kind of stuff. Same thing could happen to your business.